April 29th, 2010. A small-time creator had forgotten his YouTube password, and with this came the birth of a YouTube legend.
How's it going, Brett? My name's
Pewdiepie! The internet sensation Pewdiepie is well known for many things, from meme review and Minecraft all the way back to the early days with amnesia and cringe content. And let's not forget his misassociation with Ladigoat. He was the internet's big brother, in a time that for many of us seemed incredibly dark and lonely. With the rise of the internet and the decline of in-person social interaction because of sites like Facebook, MSN and Skype, we were more connected than ever, but we were also the first generation of youths on the internet, facing uncharted waters and unexpected downsides that come with social media. So what made Pewdiepie such a massive success? With his unique accent still of punch in gaming commentary, he took the internet by storm, rallying the masses behind him, leading the charge into new age media. Many theories have come forwards over the years on what made Pewdiepie stand out, from his apparent manipulation of the early algorithm due to moving from country to country, all the way to claims of Illuminati and reptilian overlords. I personally think it's much simpler than that. In a time that was becoming increasingly depressing and filled with anxiety as traditional media began to barrage its viewers with dark content and edge-of-the-seat news stories, Pewdiepie was the yin to this yang. His content was light-hearted, energetic, and brought joy to an uninspired youth that had been fed the line, "You're the generation that will save the world," their entire childhood. With Pewdiepie's massive success came quite a few controversies and character assassination attempts from traditional media, as well as some legitimate mistakes, but progress marched on, and they seemed to roll off of him, the community sticking by him through thick and thin. However, with every clash comes casualties. One of these casualties was the decline of horror content and the rise of horror comedy. With a new genre of entertainment emerging, taking the world by storm, it took away as much as it gave, crushing the typical atmosphere that was expected from this type of content in conventional media. It changed the focus of what made horror horror. The bugs and glitches in these types of games were now becoming features, and the plot holes and overuse of assets being targeted and mined for content. With this came a huge amount of exposure, but not all exposure is made equal. Playthroughs have always been a point of contention for some developers because it can take away from the experience of the game. Spoilers became a huge problem and money is involved. But there are essentially two schools of thought on this. Without this massive exposure to the world, these games would have never have done as well as they did. They came from anonymity and small publishers that would have never have had the funds to promote and advertise on this scale, reaching audiences that simply wouldn't have been possible from traditional advertising. The other school of thought is that these games would have risen on their own merit without the mob mentality, and having this abundance of online sharing of the gameplay and story, this actually reduces total sales, because if you can watch it, why buy it? Personally, I find that if I'm watching some content that I'm really enjoying, I'll end up buying the game as soon as I can afford it. But until then, I enjoy the content that's being made. There are usually really fun aspects of games that don't get included in playthroughs because they simply don't convert well into video format. I guess this is sort of epitomized by Nintendo copyright striking content creators playing their games in videos versus companies like Keymailer, who send out free Steam keys from developers for promotional purposes for YouTubers and Twitch streamers, in hopes that with this sudden rush of public exposure, it can throw their game into the public line of sight and become the next Among Us or FPS chess, becoming desensitized. With the rise of horror comedy, audiences became desensitized to the horror genre because it broke the atmosphere and immersion that developers were trying to convey. So it seemed lower budget and less effort was being applied to this genre of game. Rushed, unimaginative jump scares became the norm. And when the atmosphere is removed from a horror game, it's essentially a visually pleasing puzzle game. But with the jump scares, they could bring back some of the atmosphere, fear and panic, which made the genre more challenging and increased audience engagement. And so saw the rise of games like Five Nights at Freddy's and a flood of clones of Five Nights at Freddy's and Amnesia. But with this, the genre fell off. According to Google Trends, since October 2014, there has been a steady decline in interest in this genre, with a spike each year in October, but never seeing the same growth that the genre was seeing before this date. However, in 2022, the genre did see some growth, so maybe horror is recovering, and it was just overdone and needed a break. It's also worth noting that this isn't a hate video by any means, just an exploration and conversation of the YouTube experience in the past decade, which is my current goal for the channel, and what I've been enjoying making as of late. My personal YouTube account has been subscribed to PewDiePie for roughly 12 years. I remember when the first episode of Happy Wheels came out. Anyway, I'll leave with this. I think that the horror genre is recovering, and it probably just needed a break. As for PewDiePie, the impact that his channel and personality has had on the world is incredible, and overall a positive thing. He has done a lot for charity and internet culture. Honestly, without him, I don't think YouTube would be the platform that it is, and I doubt I'd be making this video right now. So, I'm Cheese. Thanks for coming on this journey with me. See you next time. Bye bye.